I think we can probably give you some input whenever you want.
Yeah, I mean, if you have questions at all, what I'm speaking of, just ask me. Don't wait for the end, because I'll probably forget. And I want to learn from you just as much as you may want to learn something from me. And so if you have any snippets of information regarding the Lions and the Lions history, I've only been in the Lion for about a year and a half. I've only lived in Moultonborough about 2.5 years. So this is relatively new to me, but I hope to impart some information on to you all too.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for inviting us here tonight. Joe Keegan, the treasurer of the Lions, is here with me to discuss any monetary issues or any money matters that pop up, because at the end of the presentation we'll discuss some money issues. But basically, it's like the title is, whatever you want to know about the Lions, we're going to try to tell you about the history of it, where we are today, and potentially where we may be going in the future also. If you have any questions at all, feel free. These are what we're going to talk about. The Lions, the organization itself, there's only about 2 or 3 slides about the organization itself, and then we get into more of the local history and the local Lions activities. In 1917, the Lions started in Chicago. There was a guy named Melvin Jones, who was a member of a bunch of service clubs, and he said, you know, we should establish a club nationwide that provides service and support to communities. Not a money-making thing. Just how can a club or enlightened businessman, almost like a Rotary, how can we provide service to communities worldwide? And so they formed the club in 1917. And basically, it's not a religious organization. A lot of people think it's a religious organization. It's a secular organization. And basically, the mission statement, as you can read, is how can we just better the community in which the members and the non-members live? And the vision is to be the global leader in community development. Our motto is we serve. Okay? When I lived in Nebraska, I was in the Elks. We didn't have any of this stuff. It was basically a social club. It's where you went after work and had a beer. Around here, that's not such a thing. The Lions here is basically just to serve the community, serve the needs of the community. Motto was adopted in 1954, and I didn't know this until I started doing some research on actually what the Lion stood for, because this is post-World War I, and you had a lot of people who were very conscious of the security of the United States at that point in time. So they said liberty, intelligence, and our nation's safety. They were very focused at that time on keeping the nation safe. There's over 1 million members worldwide, and it's not a U.S. organization, it's an international organization. In the emblem, you have the lion looking backwards and looking forwards. This is saying, you know, we're very proud of our past, but we're still looking forward to what we can do to improve in the future. So that's why you have a 2-headed lion looking both directions. Which, again, before I started doing research on this as a lion, I didn't know anything about that. So I learned quite a bit when I started putting this together. Again, it began, the Lions organization itself is headquartered outside of Chicago, Northbrook, Illinois. The local organization, the Moultonborough Lions, consists of people from Moultonborough, Center Harbor, and Sandwich. Now, Meredith has a Lions Club, Wolfboro has a Lions Club, Ossipee has a Lions Club. So basically, it's a geographic entity, those communities, so that the organization can serve better those geographically close communities. Currently, the president is Jenny Williams for another week, and Jenny works at a week and a half.
Well, she's going to be president longer, she won't be here to be in
Yeah, I'm going to be president in 2 weeks, but I'm going on vacation back to Nebraska next week, so I'm going to miss the election. So Jenny's going to be president for another 2 weeks. And I'm the vice right now. Pete Strohol, Sally, and Joe, like I mentioned, is the treasurer. The local club was formed in 1963. Yet all these members of the Laconia-Guilford Lions Club, who used to commute over to Laconia-Guilford and go to meetings, and whether they got tired of the commute, or they thought that probably was too much emphasis on supporting Laconia, they said, hey, let's form our own club on this side of the lake in 1963. And so that's what they did. 21 members, they said, let's support the communities on this side. And then the charter was granted in 1963. Russell Lankford was the first president. And the club was sponsored, the Moultonborough Lions was sponsored by the Laconia Guilford Club. Because you have to be sponsored by an existing club. And so even though they were losing members, they were good enough to sponsor the charter to this club here in Moultonborough. And again, the Moultonborough Club supports more than just Moultonborough. Okay? And that's,
Oh, before you go, is there anybody in that picture that,
Still around.
do you guys know anybody there?
On the far right is Richard Baffy.
He's deceased.
If I got up closer, I might be able to.
Go ahead. You know, really. I mean, what? This picture was hanging on the wall,
Bill
so I
White.
scanned it into the
Yeah,
computer.
she knows.
Go ahead.
Lee Houston in the middle?
Is this Russell Lankford here?
I can't see this far away.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, obviously. Go and check it out.
I don't know any.
You don't know anybody either?
That's Russell.
Yeah, right there. That's, yeah.
That's Lee Houston.
Dick Baffy.
Dick Bassey.
Bill White.
Bill White.
Ken Smith.
Ben Smith.
I'm impressed.
Ben Smith is the only one that's still a member of the club.
Was he really?
Plumber. Yeah.
He lived down on the neck.
Oh,
And that guy was familiar,
Yeah.
right? Anyway, that's a couple.
Well, I appreciate that.
but you got some of them.
It was a test.
Yeah.
Well, there's more pictures here.
Oh, good.
So the early club history. Okay, so 1963 they got their charter. And of course they had to serve, right? So you can't serve unless you have the money. So they started thinking around, what are we going to do to raise money? And they were meeting at the Country Fair Inn at the time, which is the restaurant down by the,
Right down at the corner across from the fire station.
yeah. Okay, and it was another name after that. There was another,
Lots of names.
yeah, it was a lot
It
of
was a country fair inn for many years.
really.
it's very cool.
It's very good. So they said, okay, the way to raise money is bingo.
Now it's around.
At that point in time, bingo was a big thing, okay? But they didn't have a place to run bingo. So it's almost the chicken and the egg. What are you going to do? Okay, you need the money. You got to make money doing bingo, but you don't have a place to have bingo. So they said, let's go try to find a place in town, buy a property, and build a building. So what they did, they found the 22 acres where, as you know where it is now. They bought it for $16,000. And 4 of the members took out mortgages on their houses to raise the $16,000, and they got the loan from Meredith Village Savings Bank. So I don't know who the original 4 members were who put their houses up and took out loans against their houses, but their names should be on the honor. Okay. So in 1960, they bought the land, and in 1970 they started building. Okay, they started building the clubhouse, as the Lions call it, clubhouse. They had local contractors doing the heavy lifting, a lot of the excavation and all that. But the finish work was all volunteer work by the Lions. Okay. A lot of the Lions knew how to do a lot of electrical, drywall, all that kind of stuff, the finish work. So they were doing that. And then in the summer of 1970, they said, they threw open the doors, they said, let's start doing bingo. So they started doing bingo in 1970. In 1976, the Bicentennial Trust was established. And the Bicentennial Trust basically gives out scholarships to area youth with 4 different communities, going on to college or going on to trade school or go to Techs. So they established that Bicentennial in 1976. In 1977, they said, we've outgrown the space, we need to add more wings to the property. So they put 2 wings on the property on the back of the building, and one was to support the Meals on Wheels people, and the other was to support the senior meals, and the other was to support the Lions Club, to have a den, to have a place to store a lot of the Lions specific types of things. Because in the 70s, the Lions were not the only organization using the building. It was used by a lot of organizations here in town. but the Lions needed a place to put the Lions paraphernalia and lock it up. Otherwise, they'd walk out. In 1985 was not a good year for the Lions Club.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it certainly wasn't.
They lost 5 acres of land when the state extended Route 109 straight instead of cutting over in front of the Bodge Hill Road and come around the whole Route 109. And so, and also, they had a fire. And the fire was right after they redid the kitchen. So they put a brand new kitchen in 1985. Remember, they built the building in 1970 with a 15-year-old kitchen. But what happened was, evidently, there was some very dry wall behind the stove. And they were using the stove that day, and it just was hot enough to catch that wall behind the stove on fire. And so that went up and it gutted
I was there.
where the
First
kitchen
one
is
there.
right now. Okay? And there was all sorts of smoke damage and there was water damage also. But they had insurance, so they said they're going to rebuild it. And so they rebuilt it.
Yep.
In 1987, the Lions Club started to admit women. So, if any of you females want to join the Lions, you can. Okay? The more I try to recruit people, they say, well, that's just a men's club. No, it's not. Since 1987, it's been a co-ed club. Okay? It's co-ed. Betty Lawson was the first female president, elected 10 years later. Okay? And this is the weird part of this. In 1990, 3 years after the Lions International started admitting women, the Lioness Club of Moultonborough was formed. The Lioness Club was a woman's Lions Club. And there were 19 original members. Why they did that, I'm still in a quandary. When they could join the Lions,
So
they
what's-
established their own Lions, a separate Lioness Club. Okay, and
They couldn't get along with the men.
that must be it. So if anybody has any insight, I'd love, because I asked Pat Strickland, and she hasn't gotten back to me yet, because she was president at that time. So anyway, in 1995, they started building the bandstand, okay, the community bandstand. And that was built by community members, not just Lions, but also members of the community, who donated their time, talent, and resources. And the Lions were there too to help it out. And the building cost $12,000 in just material, but it's valued over $50,000 because of the quality of the work done. And now, and then they used to have summer band concerts, I guess. And in the late 90s, there were a lot of events held at the Lions Club, because it was still a Lions Club at the time. They called it Moultonborough Lions Park, and they had the Bikers Barbecue, the first annual in 98.
That didn't work out too well.
That didn't work out too well. No. And you can't see it here, but they had a circus.
Yeah.
They had a circus here in town. And it was set up, and they had elephants and everything else over in the front lawn of the Lions Club. Craft fairs and flea markets. There's a lot of outdoor types of things held during the summertime that really you don't see right now. But they had a very active group of Lions at that time. Recent club history, again, I talked about the scholarships. Okay, we award about $10,000 a year in scholarships. They had a Dixieland jazz concert. We do health screenings. We used to do a lot of health screenings at the club proper, okay? But now we do vision screenings. I'll get more into that in a while, at area schools and nurseries and things. The Annie Up Fund was established and is still going strong. It was Annie Fort's. And then also, the Lions looked at building a community center back in 1990. Okay, they brought up the ideas. We needed a community center. So that's like 16 years ago. This thing's been rattling around. And they called it the Millennium Project. And George Foley, they did quite a bit of legwork in trying to bring a community, turning the Lions property into a community center. It was called the Millennium Project because it was the year 2000. And they had different phases, a variety of different phases. And the only phase that ever got completed was the survey of the land, because there was always the rumor that it was a wetlands, and you couldn't build there. But the results of the survey said you can build a wetland. They talked about turning the area, the retreat area in the back into a nature trail, about putting a 4x400 or 400 meter track where the community gardens are now. Enlarging the community, the building proper to accommodate the Boy Scouts, the Cub Scouts, things like that. But for whatever reason, of course, I wasn't here at the time, it didn't get off the dime.
We, just to interject, we proposed the whole thing to the town, and we were gonna give them the property, and they could develop it based on what we had done. But they didn't want to have anything to do with it.
I think what I saw was that the town was saying they did not want to have to maintain and sustain it. That was the long pole in the tent, the maintenance, the tail. Okay, and they asked the Lions, if you will change your offer to say that you will maintain and sustain it, we'll give it some more serious thought. But the Lions couldn't do it at the time because they had voted that this is going to be the proposal. They'd have to go back to the Lion community and get that consensus. And so it just kind of petered out. And that was 16 years ago. And as you know, or you may not know, in 2007, the Lions sold the building and the land to the town.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And the Lions have been using it under a lease now ever since. It's town-owned property. It's a town-owned building. And we'll talk about it a little more. Some of the service projects that we do as Lions, remember, Lions serve. That's the key word, serve. Focusing on the youth, again, we provide scholarships to area youth as they leave the academy or leave Interlakes. Well, not Interlakes, because that's the
Well, if they live in Center Harbor or
Yeah.
Sandwich.
Yeah. If they're in our town, we'll provide them support. We have a Peace Poster contest over here across the street at NCS. Camp Pride is a Lions camp down south that we maintain a building for, and we provide monetary support for them. And a new project this year is Reading is Fundamental. We're going to be giving, we've been reading to the kids in MCS and also some of the other elementary schools. We're providing them free books. I'm going tomorrow at 10:30 to Moultonborough Central School, and we're going to be passing out free books to those kids. And we do it with the sandwich kids too. And from a community perspective, what do? We adopted Sutherland Park, at least the upper part of Sutherland Park, to beautify it and maintain it. We do the 4th of July picnic, as you know. And then we do roadside cleanup along 25. And we host a blood drive. From a health perspective, I was, Joe, who challenged the Lions to be to fight for the site?
Oh, Helen Keller.
Helen Keller. 1925, Helen Keller was at the National Convention. And she stood up on the podium and she said, "You should be champions of those who are sight impaired and hearing impaired." And they really took that one to heart. They said, "You know what, she's right." And so the Lions, because as you know, the Lions collect glasses and things like that. That's where they got the idea of saying, we're going to focus on the sight issue. Because it was Helen Keller. We do vision screenings for kids. We've done over 1,000 kids in the area. We've done 400 kids in County Guilford because their Lions Club can't run the equipment. So we go over there and do it for them. We've done the kids at Interlakes. We've done the kids at the Academy, Sandwich, Moultonborough, Tamworth. Wherever kids need vision screening to be done, we step up and we go. Again, we've got a very aggressive eyeglass program. You go out to the dump, there's a box right there. You can put your old eyeglasses in there, and the Lions will recondition them and send them to people who need them. And we partner with other organizations, as you can see. We're getting into the hearing screening now too. The hearing screening thing is for kids, or young kids, and they have these audio devices, and we can screen kids for hearing issues also. Yeah, me too.
I've done that before.
You've done that before? That's right. It's not as fast as the vision screening. The vision screening, we can do a child in about 8 seconds. And it tests for 6 different issues of vision problems. Okay. The hearing screening takes about 10 minutes, if you're good at it. And then we recycle hearing aids also. What we do is we have 2 accounts. We have a project account, which is a large account. And that's the account that we use. When we go out and we try to raise money with bingo, raise money with the raffle, raise money with golf tournaments, that is the project account. We turn all that money, 100% of it, back to the communities. Okay? Giving out scholarships, doing this and doing that, doing service projects, buying the vision screen. We have an administrative account. And the administrative account is essentially our dues. And the money we pay for we have a meal every month at the club. Okay. And that just pays a lot of the small administrative type things that goes with the club. Okay. Joe, you can speak to that too. I mean, you never mix the 2 pots. The Lions are very, very, very conscious of taking money from one pot and putting it in another. That's a no-no. You can lose your charter for doing that. Okay. In the past, since 2004-5, that's basically where we've been putting our money. Community donations. And this big spike here was then, we gave $15,000 to a community van. Okay? A bus, a van.
A blue bus.
Yeah. That they were raising money for. And so the Lions chipped in $15,000. That's why the big spike right there. And the project, the building expenses right here on the right, what we said is, as we maintain and sustain the building, the facility, for use by other organizations in the town, that is also a service project. Okay? Because it's about $30,000 a year to maintain the building. And it's used, and you'll see who uses the building also. So that's another way the Lions are saying, this is how we get back to the community. Okay, we get the scholarships, we donate to a variety of causes, because we get letters every month, people asking, can you donate to this, can you donate to that? Okay. And then also running the building itself. And here's what the building is used. It's used by a lot of organizations here in town. And the Lions use it just twice a month. Okay? We have 2 meetings a month that last about an hour and a half. And then we use it for Tuesday night bingos. And that's it. So the building proper, because it's a town-owned building now. Okay? The building is used by a lot more people than just the Lions. And these are the people who use it. And again, it's about between $25,000 and $30,000 a year to maintain it because of septic, insurance, electricity, plumbing, you name it. A lot of things. So here's the bottom line. We are the most active service club in the 4 towns that we represent. I know San Montezzo Masons Club, and we're looking at teaming with them to do a child identification program pretty soon. We have a very strong tradition from 1963 to the present. We used to be one of the largest clubs in the state. We now have about 50 members, of which 22 are female, so half the club is female. We've got established programs to raise money and dispense money. Although this year we're no longer going to do the golf tournament, and what we're going to do, and Joe is heading this up, is a concert at the Moultonborough Academy Auditorium by Boston College.
The Boston College Swing Band.
So they're going to be coming in October, and hopefully, and they were in Meredith last year, and they met with a resounding success. So we're going to have them up here in October, and from what I understand, they're really, really, really good. And then, we're here to serve the community and have fun. So, any questions? And I know I didn't talk probably as much history as you wanted to, but there's not a lot of information out there. And I went through all these yearbooks and only the other things trying to pull together information. There's not a lot of information on the lines out there. Although I did see a 2001 article written by George Coley for the Historical Society. He gave a lot of good information that I used for this, because evidently he was in the Historical Society also. So, yeah, I found that on the internet. So, any questions?
I don't have quite a question, but like you said, it serves the community, and as I said, we've had presidents be at the Lions Club and want to be presidents at the Lions Club, so it's open, the community's been able to see, right, Norman?
Yes.
Yeah. He's got,
Yeah.
with
I like to see
President Reagan.
Was Reagan running for office at the time? Really?
So there's a picture of Norman taking a picture of the president.
Indeed.
Yeah.
That was a couple of years ago.
Indeed.
I was there.
That was an old joke going around that when Reagan came up through
That was 3 years ago.
Maryland, I think it was when the fishing derby was around or something, and he made the comment that when he became president, we'd get rid of all these shanties.
Well, yeah, at one point in time too, the Lions, after 9/11, the Lions offered the town the use of the building for some kind of emergency fallout shelter. They offered that to us, but that was never followed up. So because of what happened in Orlando, or something like that would have happened here in town, that would maybe be the place where all the emergency vehicles would go, and they would have a command post and all that. That's what they were thinking, post 9/11, but it never panned out. So, again, the Lions are always trying to look forward to see where they can serve the town, serve the towns that they represent. And we always are open to suggestions, how we can better serve the community. Because obviously, we didn't write the book on doing this. We're just learning as we go.
We do, Mark mentioned that hearing is, we do provide hearing aid assistance. And also glasses too. We will pay for the eye exam and the glasses if someone really needs it. They can't afford it. So all they have to do is approach me. So if you know anybody that needs hearing aids or glasses,
It doesn't matter what age, from children up to.
yeah.
Doesn't matter what age you have. Doesn't matter what age you have. Well, again, thanks for having me tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.